good morning. This is Jean here, Jean Truelove from Truelove Quilts for you. Hope you're all having a lovely day. We had a lovely weekend. I'm filming this on Tuesday, but on Sunday, Ian and I were privileged enough to go to a lovely wedding. It was really nice, and then the vibe was fall themed. Oh, I have a shirt on the same color. Fall themed outfits. It was really sweet. So we took a picture of it. So congratulations to our friends Justin and Jenny. I won't put their pictures up because I don't have their permission. But Ian and I went. He looked really dapper in his like a brocade vest that we got him, and a tie and a waistcoat. We felt really good. It was really very beautiful. That was our Sunday. It was really nice. Sunday evening. I'm going to be addressing a few things, a few little tiny stories, and I will be getting to be making my handkerchief quilt. I wanted to just share a few things about this quilt that I have made. You saw me making it. I do have a playlist. This quilt is being made with 12 hankies, 22-inch hankies. I just want to tell you, I had not pre-washed my handkerchiefs, 99 cents each from the Hobby Lobby here in this country, 12 of them. So this was a very inexpensive quilt. However, after I made my quilt, and usually what I do is I then bind my quilt and then I washed it. I wash all my quilts in cold water, a gentle cycle. My machine does bulky items. That's the only thing I'm using, with a very gentle detergent, just a little tiny little bit of detergent. And I always use color catchers. There's Shout color catchers. I like the Carbana color catchers in this country. I use, just to be sure, I think they come in packs of 30. I use about 6 for this quilt because it's inexpensive fabric. There's a tie-dye handkerchief pattern in here. Oh my goodness, what if it's gonna bleed into my, this is more like a cream hanky as opposed to a bright white, and then lots of reds, which is a fairly unstable dye. Let me tell you, inexpensive 99-cent fabric for a handkerchief. I wish I had them, they're downstairs. Just a slight going from white-ish to slightly like beige. So they're a little bit of color, but look at my finished quilt at the end of the day, having washed it. Beautiful, and a very colorful backing, as you know. So pre-wash your fabric if you want to. Your hankies, if you're going to be doing this. Now, I have had a few comments saying, well, can I just use regular fabric? Of course you can. This pattern from, as you know, createwithclaudia.com, this is not my pattern. It uses the 3 different hankies because of the actual design of the hankies. It's a very simple pattern, beginner pattern, using the 12 22-inch pieces of fabric. I would love to be able to tell you by X amount of yards for fabric number 1, which would be this one, X amount of yards for that. I can't do that. The pattern was created for the hankies, the size hankies. But if you can figure it out as we go along, by all means, 3 different fabrics, obviously a large contrast. I have the white as the background, I had the pink, and then I have the tie-dye. But again, I will be telling you exactly what we need. Now, I'm going to be making this quilt. I'm going to be starting filming it in the next couple of days, and I am using these color hankies. I went to Hobby Lobby, and I got some more hankies. Now, for this quilt, I'm going to be using the bright white hanky as the white in my quilt here. I'm going to be using the pink hanky, this one, as this reddish pink here, the coral. And then I'm going to be using the gray, which you only need 2, which is, well, I'll have the picture up for you, which is the tie-dye in the middle. I'm going to be using the gray. So my next quilt with these 3 colors is going to take on a completely different take from this quilt here. I do have a person in mind, but let me just tell you, I had lined or I had interfaced the hankies because they're very thin. Somebody said, well, if I make a quilt, I want it to last a long time. This is not an heirloom quilt. Not at all. This is a picnic quilt. This is a give it to a teenager to wrap around on a beach quilt and wash and wash and wash. But I've washed it. It washed up beautifully, again, because I've lined each block. Because as you can see, the 99-cent hanky is very, very thin. Very, very thin. But it's a handkerchief. It washes up. And I'm telling you, after I lined it, and after I used my batting, which I use a Warm and Plush. It's from the Warm company. It's like one up from Warm and Natural, again, in this country, which is it's a nice, thick, really lovely premium batting from the Warm company. And I'm telling you, this quilt, after I washed it, I wrapped it around Maxwell. He's like, oh, this might be our next leaf quilt. That's another story. We have a family leaf quilt that I made 20 years ago that everybody wants and wraps up and has been washed and used by everyone in the family at various times, hundreds of times. Well, I think this, which is so very warm, not quite yet buttery soft because it's not been used tons, but after washing it, as you can see, it shrunk a little bit, but it didn't run. The color fast with my color catchers, and it's warm and soft and beautiful. So I will be doing these colors next, my gray, my pink, and my white. So that's my, oh, excuse me, I have a frog in my throat. I'm not getting sick. I still am feeling very tired from my long COVID, but I am getting better, thank you. But I do have a catch in my throat. I haven't eaten anything. I gotta go eat something. So just a few more other things. So stay tuned for my quilt. I will my tutorials for my quilt. Again, if you want to go to createwithclaudia.com and look at the actual pattern, get a heads up on how she did it. I will be doing a step-by-step tutorial. Again, because I try to gear this to beginners. By all means, you can get 3 different color contrasting fabrics and figure it out along the way. Okay, oh, just real quick. Here's another thing. Maxwell and I yesterday were in Walmart, at our local Walmart, and all of a sudden, and I know you guys will say, oh no, you look fine. I look terrible. I really did. I was a person of Walmart. Maxwell always says that. He's like, we fit right in, Mom. I had put my hair up, but, oh, and weren't we recognized? Ah, Julie, you know who you are. I didn't take a picture because I look so terrible. Because Maxwell afterwards said, we should have taken a picture. She was so sweet. She came up to me. Well, actually what had happened, she recognized Maxwell and his voice. He had said something, and she turned, and this person, lovely person, turned to me and said, you have a YouTube channel? And I'm like, oh, I don't want to be recognized. Oh, and now, of course I go, yes, of course. She was so very nice. She recognized Maxwell first and then came over. Oh, it was so nice. So I was recognized. Oh, I got to look better. I mean, not a stitch of makeup. My hair, oh, I really did look like a person of Walmart. That's why I went. We fit right in. Oh, another thing. Oh, where's my phone? Here we go. Excuse me. So you guys may have remembered in the beginning of the year, actually when I wasn't feeling all that great, I had been on a roll with the Fabric Hut. I had made 3 different quilts. Actually, they are sitting there. I have to quilt them. It was just to like do these quilt kits very quickly from the Fabric Hut, which actually they were very kind to not sponsor me, but to provide me with 2 quilt kits, which, as you know, I showcased making one of them, and then there was a giveaway for those 3 quilt kits. One of those quilt kits was called the Morning Glory kit. I think that's one of the first kits I made. That kit, as you can see, is sold out. But the reason I'm saying that is I had gotten a nice note from Cynthia M, and this is very, very clever, because again, these were pre-cut quilt kits. Go to thefabrichut.com. See, they have a bunch more pre-cut quilt kits. Everything you need is in the quilt kit, including the backing. Awesome. awesome. I made these quilts and they're just fabulous. Really, really nice. Takes all of the cutting away from you. All you do is open the kit and put it together. So Cynthia, though, however, she had seen me making the Morning Glory kit, and she wrote to me. She said, attached is a picture of the Morning Glory quilt that I made after watching your tutorial. I didn't have the kit as they were sold out. So I was working with a layer cake and no pattern. Just sort of what I had explained the pattern was. Because I couldn't give for specific dimensions because that was in the kit and you had to buy the kit. So I added a little additional fabric as well. It isn't finished as yet, but I rather like the scrappy country feel of it. Thank you for your very helpful tutorial. Feel free to share the picture if you are so inclined. Sincerely, Cynthia M. in Kelso, Washington. I am inclined. That is very clever. So Cynthia figured out it was a beginner kit. But again, as I said, the pieces were all pre-cut. Cynthia herself figured out from her scraps how to put this quilt kit together. Well done, Cynthia. Beautiful. Again, as I say, this kit, I went to Fabric Hut. This quilt kit is sold out, but Fabric Hut does have other kits. Look them up. They're fantastic. One more thing I looked at, oh no, two more things. I looked out on the roof the other day and there's Maxwell. Right just in my sewing room here. I looked out and he has a blower. Our leaves are blowing. He was blowing the leaves of standing on the roof. I said, please be careful with our luck. And then the last thing, it was so sweet. I had gotten a message from our oldest son, Luke, and he sent me this picture. He said, I came home late to his family. He has his wife and 5 children. And this is what I came home to. That I thought this picture would make you happy. Now you have to understand, this picture is actually in their bedroom. His wife, Amy, is under the covers, and there are his identical twins, Phoebe and Riel, under a quilt that I made our oldest son, Luke, who's now will be next month 43, or 2 months, 43, made him when he was 21 years old. It was a fairly large red, black, and white quilt that he wanted those colors, and I was a beginner quilter, and again extremely ambitious, much more ambitious than I am today. So I had seen a pattern for a log cabin, like a star. I don't have a photograph of it. I forgot to ask him to take a photograph of it, all big, but this quilt is 22 years old, and when he was single, when he was living in his own apartment, then when he got married, and now his girls are under it, and 22 years later this quilt is still going strong. And it was a log cabin, which it's interesting. They say the log cabin pattern is one of the earliest, I don't know how they gauge that, quilt patterns around. I don't love a log cabin. I don't love it. I guess because you technically should cut all of your like logs. You start out with your centerpiece and then you cut the pieces to fit around. First of all, I wouldn't do all that cutting. Like, it's specific, you know. I actually just put the center and then just lay pieces and cut them. But inevitably my blocks went a little bit, since I have done it before, have gone a little bit skewed, whatever. I don't love a log cabin block. Maybe I should try it again. Try to do it a little bit better, because again, this quilt, 22 years old, and has been used and washed hundreds of times by a bachelor and then by a family, and it's still as lovely as ever. It really is. And again, this is the whole point. I do remember buying those fabrics, and they were good fabrics. This quilt is not good fabric, but is it going to last through many, many washings, and is it going to look good? Yeah, it is. By all means, as I have done, you can buy 12, 13, 14, in other countries, $20, $30 a yard fabric, by all means. But again, I'm going to be doing this tutorial from my handkerchief quilt, or from maybe from three different color scraps you have of some yardage you want to put together, to try to make a quilt that's not all that expensive. So that's to come. I wanted to thank Luke for sending me his lovely picture of the girls under his quilt. That just made my day. That's all I have to say. This video is going on long enough. I will be back. One more thing. One of my next videos, though, I'm going to be having a surprise for you. That's all I'll say. Anyway, folks, I hope you've enjoyed this. Please have a lovely day. Have a safe day. And yeah, as always, love from the Trueloves. See you later. Bye-bye.